Hello, DLH Academy family and friends. This is Ms. Fletcher, the principal, taking a moment to speak with you briefly and to work to stay empowered through staying connected. Our theme this year is empowerment through staying connected. So I want to take a moment to connect regarding the first few weeks of school, our schedules, and our virtual learning protocols. So I'm going to share a few things with you about some of the frequently asked questions. Before we begin, I would like to go over a couple of essential agreements. As an IB school, we like to make sure that we have a foundational understanding for our communication and the needs that's involved by all parties communicating. So everything that I share today, that we share, that comes out of DLH Academy, stems in part from our school motto: children are a rich investment yielding a priceless reward. We do things for our children. We do a lot for them so that we can invest in their present and in their future, because we know that what the return on that investment will be outstanding. Another agreement that we have is teamwork, though not always easy, especially in our virtual setting with the face-to-face component limited. And especially when we have to wear masks, when we are face-to-face, that kind of limits our communications as well. But teamwork really does make the dream work. So we will continue to work together as the village. We will make the most of our learning time, and we will work with the understanding that those times may be very difficult right now. Temporary is temporary. Temporary is not permanent, so we will not get stuck in a rut and stuck in failed attempts to make the dream work. We will continue to rise and will continue to be strengthened by our experiences. And so we want to continue in that vein with that understanding. I want to talk about a few things. First of all, being attendance. Attendance matters. The very difference between a closure in March and what's going on now is we're not closed right now. In March, we were closed as a school, but we were providing opportunities to still extend learning and continue learning in order to prevent learning loss and to minimize the increase of learning gaps. But at this time, the virtual learning platform is we are open and learning virtually. Therefore, attendance in those virtual sessions is extremely important. School is in session. It looks different, but it is in session. So morning attendance has to do with the check-ins. There are 3 ways that attendance can be verified while we are in our virtual framework. One of the ways is the morning check-ins that occurs for classes between 7:30 and 8:30, depending on the time assigned on your student schedule. Attendance can be verified during the virtual instructional sessions. Those are times where your child will actually meet with a teacher for instruction. And attendance can also be verified by the completion of assignments. This is an attendance verification that must be previously approved. We do understand that some schedules that take place for children are such that they cannot meet on all of their virtual sessions. And in those cases, we do make the learning available to them during a time that works best for them. So they may complete the assignments and complete certain verification activities that will count as a virtual attendance. So those are the 3 ways that attendance can be verified. There is no substitute for teacher instruction. Attendance verification and teacher instruction are 2 different things. Attendance verification lets us know that your child is participating, they're working, they're doing the best they can, they are present, they are benefiting from communications. Teacher instruction is actually time spent with the teacher to solidify academic skills, collaborative skills, and other soft skills that students couldn't have that experience without having the direct instruction from a teacher. So though they may check in, a 10-minute check-in or signing on and saying, hi, I'm here, I'm signing back off, that's not going to secure the learning experiences that are needed for our children so that they don't fall behind. And so it's very important that even though the check-ins are there, that the time assigned to spend with a teacher for direct instruction is met as much as possible. Parent conferences are quickly approaching. That's about 2 weeks away. And during that time, academic progress will be discussed. And keep in mind that academic progress is performance-based. It's a data meeting, and we can only discuss what the student has done, but there is a timeline for grading assignments and for submitting reports. And so skill sets that have not been verified will be documented as unsatisfactory because they haven't been verified. So that time with the teacher is extremely important. Please make sure that our children are working to get that time in. The other thing that I want to share a little bit about is schedules and procedures. First of all, why the AM check-ins? We've had questions about that. Why is my child checking in at 7:30 and they don't have their first assigned teacher class until 8 o'clock? Why is that? Check-ins provide a number of things for our children. They provide academic support and guidance on what to do. They help our children to solidify good work routines and work habits, and they also help us to establish a system for mental wellness and health checks. When students are assigned an amount of work that cannot be completed during the teacher session alone, they have to develop routines and practices such that they are completing work outside of their teacher session. So for example, if my teacher session as a student is from 8 until 12:30, then that's the time when my teacher is speaking to me. They're sharing some things with me. I'm asking questions. I'm making sure I understand what to do, so that between 1 and 3:30, I'm doing those assignments. By the same token, if my check-in is not until 1, as far as the teacher meeting, then everything that I get done during that time will have to be followed up on the next day during the morning. And this is especially important the higher the grades for the student. If students are only online for the portion of time that they are speaking to a teacher, they absolutely will fall behind. There's not enough time. And this pretty much emulates what happens during the school day. When students are in school, they spend some time speaking with their teachers, some time speaking with peers, and sometimes doing things independently in order to build their skills, in order to take their learning from short-term memory to long-term memory, thereby solidifying it and enabling them to achieve mastery. And so that is one of the benefits of the check-in, to help students do that. Students get reminders about assignments and their schedules, and they also get an opportunity to meet with their peers during the morning check-ins. It gets kind of lonely when you're stuck in the house and you don't get to see your peers in a platform that you're used to. And so we want to make sure that we're able to check on students. They're able to be encouraged, to share, to encourage one another in low risk type environments. That's important. Their emotional and social well-being is as important as our academic well-being. And so we don't want to ignore that either. We want to provide those opportunities as well. We really, really must work on building independence during this time. Academic regression is real. Students having a lack of access to teachers and to their work is a real thing, and we don't want that to become a stumbling block or a barrier or a mountain that develops during the time that we're not face-to-face. So students must be encouraged to have good attendance, come to the sessions, do the independent work when the session is over, and correct assignments when they're sent back for correction. Those are important. So we want our students to maintain a high level of rigor during this virtual period so that they do not regress. And we want them to develop greater independence and reliability by doing exactly what they are supposed to do to the best of their ability, whether the camera is on or off. We don't want to wait until we come back in the building to start trying to solidify good schedules and routines, because we've already lost that time while we were outside the building. Now we lose more time because students aren't used to getting up in the morning. They're not used to doing a full day's work. We set our kids up for failure if we're working with them only half a day when we have the ability to work with them, or have them to work for the general school day when we have the ability. The last thing I want to address is just the updates on our opening phases. Village Academy is currently in phase 1 of its reopening, which is the all virtual. Currently, there is not a set date for reopening, but when there is a set date, you will get no less than a week notification so that you can make arrangements. We don't want to force it, force that reopening. Hey, tomorrow we're open. No matter what you hear on the news, you'll have enough time to react once we come back to face-to-face instruction. Our guidance, we will continue to receive from the CDC and the Milwaukee Health Department regarding the phases. And then if you would like to see a preview of what it will look like as we approach a timeline where we want to consider opening, there is a COVID-19 addendum posted on our website. If you previously viewed that addendum, it has been updated as we look at things that we want to do to have a safe reopening. And so if you haven't seen that today, an updated COVID-19 addendum was posted on the DLH Academy website today. So you can take a look at that to kind of see what it's going to look like as we begin to reopen. I want to communicate that fear and frustration are not the standard. It is absolutely not practical to open when COVID numbers are rising and things are unstable at best. We want to make sure that we have a plan in place to keep our kids safe. We don't want to open, close, open, close, open, close, because the learning is important. We don't want to interrupt systems that are working and replace them with systems that will cause us to be unsafe. And so we want to be careful to learn from the trends that are taking place. That does have a lot to do with when we reopen. We want to know that even though things are difficult and times are really hard and harder for some than others, we will grow stronger and wiser through this adversity. We absolutely have to, for our own health and for the sake of our children. And so we want to learn through what's going on. We don't want to make decisions out of fear and frustration. We want to make sure that what we're doing is going to help our children to continue to learn and grow, and not just be a knee-jerk reaction to provide temporary relief that's going to cause us harm, or our children harm in the long run. So we want to be cautious of that moving forward. Also, as far as an update, all transition updates, again, all transition updates are distributed and communicated through administrative communications. So the phases of transitions are not dictated by staff. The staff are working really hard to make sure they can reach and teach every child, make sure they can communicate with parents frequently, and that is what their focus is. Their focus for the teachers and our instructional staff is not to plan and prepare for reopening. When they're online with you, when they're speaking with you, they're focused on what they do best, which is the academic and the social emotional support. So let's please allow them to do that, and not ask them questions that they do not have the answer to. They'll have it, you'll have it when they have it. So I want to kind of make sure that that was clear as well. The teachers don't know any more than you know about reopening, but they do know what your child needs to know about reading, math, social studies, science, and communicating using the appropriate skills. That is all for today. I want to say stay well, stay empowered, and live every day on purpose with a purpose. God bless you, and we hope to see you soon.